Alright, here it is, the new Acura NSX. Now this thing has been out since 2017, but I've never had the chance to spend a few days with it. I've driven it here and there, but this is the first time I'm getting to hang on to it for a couple of days and really experience what it's like living with the NSX on a daily basis. My first impressions, this thing is extremely enjoyable to drive, and at the same time it's very comfortable, and that's something supercars just aren't known for. Today I'll give you a tour of the 2020 Acura NSX, and then I'll give you my opinion on what I think about this Japanese supercar. But before I do, make sure you hit subscribe. All right, let's do this. As always, before we get into everything else, let's take a look at some of the cool and interesting things that you should know about the new Acura NSX. But first, let's do a quick launch control and hear some exhaust sounds. Now, in most sports cars and supercars, to launch control them, you have to do a whole cheat code. You have to go up, down, left, right, select, start, A, B, B. But in the Acura NSX, all you have to do is pop it in track mode, and to do that, you go all the way right, Passport Plus, you hold down dynamic mode to the right, you enter track mode, and now you're ready to launch control the NSX, so let's do it. Then you put your foot on the brake, accelerator all the way down, you'll see launch mode ready. Oh my God. Oh, that is absolutely insane. I've never felt anything like that. It's probably not the most exciting exhaust sound you've ever heard, but hey, it's a supercar, so we gotta listen to the exhaust sound, so let's do it. The first thing you'll notice while walking up to the Acura NSX is its gorgeous design, and the second thing you'll notice is that when you walk up close to it, it'll sense that you're close and welcome you by popping out the door handles. That's very cool. And then say that you change your mind about taking your NSX out for a drive, you could simply hit lock. The door handles will go right back inside. There is a keyhole right here, which a lot of people say it's a design flaw, but hey, the Rolls-Royce Cullinan has one too, so let's not knock on Acura for this. Now, since the Acura NSX is all about driving and having fun, there's no real place for a cup holder. Just have a bunch of storage areas right here, but just in case you do decide to go for a cruise and need to carry some drinks, they gave you a detachable cup holder which slides in right here. And then you can carry drinks, and then when you're done, just pull it back out. Pretty cool. I'll get into the infotainment a little bit later. It's not the sexiest infotainment system in the industry, but just in case you do need to do some calculations, you have a calculator right here. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Not many cars have calculators, so that's kind of cool to see. Next up, let's talk about pricing. Pricing for the 2020 Acura NSX starts at $157,500. This one here, as tested, $197,995. So what makes this one right here cost almost $200,000? Well, let's break it down. First up, the new Indy Yellow Pearl paint right here, which is inspired by the one on the older Acura NSX, will cost you an extra $1,000. My test model also has the upgraded carbon fiber exterior sport package, which costs a whopping $9,000. And if you select that option, you also have to go for the $3,600 carbon fiber engine cover. But that's actually not the most expensive option here. My test model also has the carbon ceramic brakes with silver calipers, and that will run you a crazy $10,600. The beautiful carbon fiber spoiler here will run you an extra $3,000, and this beautiful carbon fiber roof will cost an extra $6,000, and it's definitely worth it. Hop inside the NSX, and if you want full leather power seats, that will cost you another $1,000, and my test model also has the carbon fiber interior sport package, along with black Alcantara headliner. That will run you another $3,800. And of course, if you want Sirius XM radio, you will have to pay an extra $500. Add all that up along with the $1,995 destination charge, and you're looking at a 2020 Acura NSX the way it is here for a total of $197,995. So you better start saving up if you want it the way it looks here. Now let's talk about power and performance, because this is the supercar of the future. Power comes from a 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 along with 3 electric motors, and that's good for 573 horsepower and 476 pound-feet of torque, and that's made it to a 9-speed DCT transmission along with super handling all-wheel drive, and it's awesome. And that will help the NSX go from 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. I've done it in 2.9, others have done it in 2.7, and you have a top speed of 191 miles an hour, and this thing is extremely fun to drive. Now, when it comes to fuel economy, the NSX gets 21 city, 22 highway. You have a 15.6 gallon tank capacity. I'm averaging, after a few days of driving, a total of 16.8 miles a gallon. Not terrible. Next up, let's take a closer look at the exterior design of the Acura NSX because I think this thing is absolutely gorgeous. It looks stunning from every angle. I just finished testing the extremely beautiful Bentley Continental GT last week, and I honestly thought nothing would get me as much as attention as I got in that car. Well, I was absolutely wrong because the NSX here is definitely getting me way more attention. The amount of thumbs up and smiles I've gotten in this car is the praise and appreciation you look for when it comes to buying a car like this. Every angle of the Acura NSX is downright gorgeous. It's one of the most aggressive looking sports cars out there, and in my opinion, it will definitely age really well. Of course, a lot of the design has to do with aerodynamics. There are 10 functional intakes that provide cooling for the engine. Let me point out a few vents around here. You have air going through the vent here, 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 and here. But the coolest design element to me is the floating C-pillars that increase airflow to the rear engine vents. That's a very, very cool looking design. I like that a lot. Now, before I move on, let me just point out the headlights and the taillight game going on here. You have signature Acura jewel eye headlight styling here with 6-beam headlights, and they look very, very cool. And then on the back, you have taillights that run across the entire rear of the NSX, but the NSX isn't following the trend of every luxury car out there. This design here is actually an homage to the original NSX, and I like this a lot. Now, let's talk about practicality before we move on really quick. You can pop the trunk from the front, the key right here, or there's a button right back here, right there. And when you open this up, you have 3.9 cubic feet. So if you plan on taking a trip with a lot of things, make sure you go solo so you can throw some stuff in the passenger seat. But yeah, I mean, that's all you have. Now let's hop inside the 2020 Acura NSX here, because by the looks of it, this thing should be pretty uncomfortable, but it's not. It's not uncomfortable at all. Let's dive into it. While the Acura NSX is a downright fast supercar that should break your back, Acura made sure there was no sacrifice to comfort or everyday usability. Yes, getting in and out can be a little bit of a challenge, but it is very comfortable once you get inside. The seats are extremely relaxing, especially when you're pushing this thing to its limits. You'll be surprised just how comfortable it is inside. And that's not done by mistake. Acura's design team utilized a number of different test drivers with the wide-ranging driving backgrounds from regular people to professional race car drivers. They then took all that information and did everything that they needed to do to improve the driver feel and comfort of the NSX, and that's the type of detail that I really appreciate. Now let's talk about tech really quick, starting off with the digital gauge cluster here. It's not as advanced as the German rivals, but it's still pretty respectable. The most action that this gauge cluster sees is when you're switching through drive modes. You have quiet, sport, sport plus, and then you hold the dynamic mode all the way to the right and you'll enter track mode, and it's time to get crazy. Now, when it comes to the infotainment system, you have a 7-inch touchscreen display, and it isn't the best in the industry or the most advanced, but it does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard, so at least you have those two things to connect your phone to. Nonetheless, I do wish that the screen was a little bigger and that the Acura NSX actually got the new infotainment system from the RDX, seeing as this is also a 2020 model year, and the NSX is Acura's halo car. I just wish they had the most advanced infotainment that they have in the RDX, because that one is really, really nice. And while I'm here talking about the infotainment system, let me tell you a few other things that the Acura NSX doesn't have. You don't have a wireless charger. You don't have an advanced camera tech. That's the only camera option you get. You don't have ambient lighting, and you only get heated seats. Cooled seats are not even an option. So that's a bit disappointing. Now, before I move on and give you my opinion on how it is to drive the Acura NSX, let me point out a few random things that I love to show all of you. I've already shown you the cup holders, so let's kick it off by hearing the door open and close sound from the outside. And from the inside, getting in here is a little bit of a challenge. This is how I get in. I sit down sideways, and then I twist my legs in. All right, from the inside, pretty solid. Next up, you better leave your house with a good hairdo, because you cannot check yourself out in any vanity mirror, because there is none on either side, and you can't even open. That's the only visor sunshade thing that you have. And last but not least, let's hear how the horn sounds on the 2020 Acura NSX. Pretty solid. Love it. Now that I've given you a tour of the 2020 Acura NSX, let me give you my opinion on what I think about it. Let's get to it. The first generation Acura NSX ended production in 2005, nearly 12 years ago, before this new generation one hit the roads. Now, here's the thing that bothers me when I read reviews about the Acura NSX. A lot of the people say that it's not like the old one, and that it took Acura and Honda so long to give us a new one that it isn't that reassuring. Well, in my opinion, I think it took Honda and Acura so long to give us a new NSX because they were too focused on cars like the Civic and the Accord, which are some of the best-selling cars in the world. The original NSX sold just 18,000 units over its 15-year production production run. So I guess I can understand why this wasn't a top priority. And yeah, this isn't like the original NSX because that was nearly 12 to 15 years ago. And since then, technologies have gotten better, performance has gotten better, and engineering overall has gotten better. And that's why the new Acura NSX is so amazing. It has 3 electric motors. The one in the back helps the twin turbo V6. So there's virtually no turbo lag. And this thing will just take off at any speeds. And it feels absolutely amazing. The 2 other electric motors drive the front wheels independently of each other, and that's what makes this a futuristic supercar. This thing is so precise and so tight when it comes to handling, it honestly makes you a better driver. So Honda doesn't really give out official 0 to 60 times, but people have done 0 to 60 in the NSX between 2.7 to 3.1 seconds. I've hit 2.9 seconds, and I'm not even that crazy of a good performance driver. I honestly love everything about this car. I love the way it looks, I love the way it feels, I love the way it moves. It's absolutely amazing. The best part about all this is that it's very comfortable inside, and hey, who doesn't like comfort? Anybody that says a supercar can't be comfortable is absolutely wrong. Yes, there are other supercars that are faster, cooler, and more prestigious, but I look at the Acura NSX in its own light, and this thing is absolutely special. Either way, thanks for hanging out with me today. I'll see you next time. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Omar Drives. And I'll see you next time. Take care. Peace.